have to ask you about Melvin and Howard, obvious for obvious reasons. But the other big thing about that one is it upsets me how inaccessible that movie is. Like it's very difficult to find a copy of it
I
anywhere.
know. I
And
know. I'll tell you why. And I love Universal. I write music for Universal, but Universal at the time when that movie was made by the great director Jonathan Demme and written by the great screenwriter Bo Coleman, it came out and it was like the only reason anyone ever saw that movie was because of the critics. You know, when people like badmouth critics, I always think I wouldn't have a career without them, because that movie no one was going to see because Universal buried it. They couldn't figure out how to sell a movie about a guy. The story is about the kind of milkman who was a part of the Mormon church, and he claimed to be the heir to the Howard Hughes fortune. And the reason he claimed that is that he claimed that he picked up, this is his truth, a true story. He picked up Howard Hughes in the middle of the desert after a little motorcycle crash that Howard Hughes had had. And he took him to the back of his hotel that he owned, and he gave him all the change in his pocket, not knowing it was Howard Hughes, just knowing it was some poor old guy that needed help. And that while they were in the car, they sang, Melvin had written this song, and he got Howard Hughes to sing his song. And that was made him so happy. And then when Howard Hughes died, there was a will that listed all these people. This is before the age of computers or personal computers, where Melvin could have looked up these people or researched it or figured this out. It was written in a type of ballpoint pen that Howard Hughes liked to write with, but that had been he'd bought up and it had been discontinued. And it said 1/17 of my fortune to Melvin Dumar of Gabbs, Nevada, along with a whole lot of other names. And the other names were like, I think for the most part, either business friends or very obscure relatives and things like that. And I saw the will, and it was hard to believe that wasn't true. It's just hard to believe, having met Melvin, that he would have had, that anyone would have had the ability to have done that at that time and pull that off. And so anyway, we told his story, and the people surrounding Howard Hughes weren't all choked up about it because they didn't want to believe in the legitimacy of that will. And then Universal got it, and I don't know if they were pressured about it. I've never known that, but they certainly didn't know how to sell the movie about this, what they deemed a kind of loser. And so they just dumped it, and they didn't release it in Europe. It got no release in Europe. For years, I would have people say, can you please tell us how we can see it? And I was like, I have no idea.
I feel bad about the way that I've seen it, because it's not an appropriate way, but you can find not super clear versions on YouTube. But that's the kind of movie where I would buy like an elaborate Blu-ray with tons of behind the scenes story, and I want all the details, and we can't get them.
Well, somebody needs to do it. You're absolutely right. And I wish we would have done it while Jonathan was alive, but just out of respect for him, because Jonathan Demme was one of the great American filmmakers. And I cherished every single second of working with him. I worked with him twice, also in the movie Philadelphia. But it's a really strange thing. It's like the world conspired against this beautiful little movie, and it's an absolutely beautiful little work of art.
Are there any specific memories from making that movie that you find yourself recalling often?
We were doing this scene where I'm getting remarried to Melvin, and we don't have enough money to pay for the little place in Vegas or Reno or wherever it was. But, and I'm very pregnant. And so we volunteer to be witnesses to other people's weddings, and we kiss them and stuff, and be the witnesses until we've done enough that we make enough money that we can actually get married to each other. And that was a strange day because I've never kissed so many people in one day. There was like all these guys, and that was strange. But the thing I remember most about that day is that when I was sitting in makeup, it was toward the end of the shoot, and we're not really welcomed there because of this whole controversy about Howard Hughes and everything. So we weren't staying in the nicest hotels, and it had been a long, hard shoot. And I was in makeup, and Jonathan came in through the door in the makeup trailer, and he had on this like pinstripe suit with a big carnation in the lapel. And I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "Nowhere." And I said, "What are you so dressed up for?" And he goes, "You're getting married today." and that was his direction to me that day. He didn't give me another direction that day. He just dressed up for my wedding. And that was the magic of Jonathan Demme, that it was like from the second I saw him and he told me that, it was like I had all the energy in the world. There were no problems. It was like, what a blessing to be able to do this scene today. You know, that's what he brought out in you.